Welcome everyone. This is a fairly open vlog, and it's one to give my reflections on AI riffing, what it means, and some of the experiences I've had using it. In particular, I've spent the last year writing a novel, not to get AI to write the novel, but to help in research through AI riffing, and to help really myself to boost ideation. What I've found is, first of all, the process of AI riffing is incredibly simple. It's really, you ask a question of AI, you generate a response, you ask a question back, and so on and so forth. But it does require good orchestration. You do need to be able to hold what I call the loop of recursion for a long time, critically until the point that you actively seek coherence. So you leave and must be happy to leave things open, and you must chase the unknown to develop a coherence around what you're discussing. I think another thing is with AI riffing, what have I found from AI itself? The ability to use databases and come up with instant research answers effectively and well, in an instant that would take weeks potentially for a junior or fellow researcher to divine. Certainly helped on maths. Certainly and interestingly came up with its own recursions itself, often nowhere near as creative, often as replicative, but sometimes surfacing interesting adjacencies to things I've been talking about and might not have thought of before, that's taken things in different directions. I think it's also, as a partner, it's enabled me to work with something that it doesn't fatigue. It's happy for me to ask innumerable questions without complaint, which is very important actually, and it does not close things down. If you imagine second, third and fourth order reasoning reaching out for a coherence that isn't necessarily understandable on the first level of thought, that's what we're dealing with. An example might be NPS, so Net Promoter Score. We might ask questions that now attack the fundamental axiom of Net Promoter Score safely in a non-political environment by riffing with AI, and maybe surfacing that in actual fact Net Promoter Score is possibly its benefits maybe political or best measured out with the Net Promoter Score itself. So these are kind of things that aren't necessarily immediately understandable, but with that second, third, nth order reasoning, you get to the hidden insight, and sometimes even the hidden question. So AI riffing is, I've found, beneficial. You need the right people to do it though. Not everybody would be comfortable holding the unknown and seeking coherence. And not everybody is comfortable with making non-linear leaps. AI itself can learn through its chat with you how best to help you in that, although of course at the moment it's very immature, not very immature, fairly immature in what it does, and often lags. I think another thing I found was hallucination. Now with open-ended questions, clearly things have to be checked, but interestingly, particularly with creativity, as long as you're aware of it and can control for it, hallucination can actually be of benefit because it takes you down paths you would not have thought of before. So creatively, that is interesting to think about, the benefits of hallucination. Of course, there are negatives, just completely off-piste, not lies to you, that's the wrong term, but seeks its own way of giving information to you that is incomplete or incorrect. And that's why everything needs to be checked, but we're well aware of that. But what I want to emphasize is that if you think of it as looking at the hidden, unknown things that come with an endless question of why, or or perhaps not endless, but consistent second, third and fourth and so on reasoning, you driving it to coherence, hopefully you can see you evolve solutions and you evolve syntheses that haven't been thought of before. And I don't want to underestimate again the political importance of AI, because it's you and the machine which creates a safe space to interrogate issues and breaks the boundary constraint in firms for epistemic closure. What I mean by that is firms at the moment tend to operate blind because they want to get things performatively operated. Do it now, even if it's a flattened structure that doesn't really work. When you could, if you asked more why questions, unpick that so you can get a better how. So AI riffing, great creative tool. I found it extremely useful. I think and hope that the novel I produced, they're my own ideas, but demonstrate well boosting how well creativity can be boosted when you AI riff, because it opens up your mind to other orders of potentialities. I think in general, certainly there need to be developments in AI to hold reasoning traces and to hold memory traces, and certainly there needs to be developments in people employment who can effectively riff. And what I really don't mean is data engineers. I mean systems thinkers in particular. People who are great at biology, great at politics, these kind of more system-orientated chains of thought. Because engineers tend to close things down and scale, and we want openness. And I find that AI riffing is a fantastic means for that. But there comes with a warning. Engineers really are, what I've seen in LinkedIn, potentially going to aim to close this down through fear of hallucination. I've seen issues about we need to control it, we need to govern it. But that's completely crushing the whole value of AI. Completely. It is one of the first instruments that works and supports complex adaptive systems, and that open epistemic knowledge. And if we close it down, we lose all that. And the best way I would say to govern this is not to give it to data engineers, not to give it to engineers in general, but to give it to systems, a team of systems people, great with that style of thinking, great with people who are with great emergent systems thinking, great with creativity, who will then hold it in that little team and can then, rather than extend it out to others who may well risk hallucination, and they can govern it and they can work with it and they can help teams inside the organisation on product, service, innovation, strategy, policy formulation, and so forth. AI riffing, a great, fantastic tool, and the real value of AI. And that real value, again, it lies in hybrid cognition, AI augmented human reasoning as a process. Thank you.